Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marjorie, and if you're not new here, my name is still Marjorie, and this is Marjorie Made, a channel mostly about cross stitch. Sometimes I talk about books and crochet, but I always keep that to the end, so if you're only here for cross stitch, don't fret, that's what we'll be jumping into today. I have a lot to show y'all. It's been about a month, a little bit, probably more than a month, since my last regular Flosstube update. I did at the beginning of the year post a whip parade with all 50 of my whips, and it's a kind of a difficult video to make, you know, it's a lot of work, but I just enjoy sharing everything that I've been doing with y'all and also watching everyone's whip parades. Like, whip parade season is so much fun, and it, you know, just gives me really good ideas for, you know, projects and stuff to add to my wish list. So, in today's video, I don't have any finishes, but my sister does. I'll put a picture here of her 2 finishes. This was a gift for one of her friends, and she did so good on them. She framed them herself. She's incredible. She's been on my channel a couple of times before, and so I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of an update, what she's been up to, finishing things. Couldn't be me. I sure don't, but she does. Anyway, let's just jump into the rest of today's video. I have one start, which is really good for me. Thank you, hold your applause. And then I have a lot of whips. I've been getting busy in January, you know, just working on goals and getting things done. Not finished yet, but I've been getting them done. So the solo start that I have to show y'all today is going to be Ann Richardson. This is for Carrie over at Tiger Lily Designs, her birthday sal. When I saw this, I was like, okay, I guess I'll start. I've been holding off so well. I know it's only been a month, but for someone like me who loves to start a project, I've practiced a lot of self-restraint when it comes to these beautiful patterns that I've been seeing all of January. Anyway, so this is my progress. I have 450 stitches done. I'm doing this in the called for Vicky Clayton silks. Absolutely beautiful. And then I am doing this on Nightshade by Be Stitch Me. This is a 36 count linen. I'm a part of their fabric club. So it's like a beautiful, like blue purple periwinkle, and it just looks so good with these colors. And I love this so much. It's my first time using Vicky Clayton silks and couldn't be happier. So I love them so much. They're so silky smooth. Probably because they're silk. Anyway. So yeah, this is my one and only start of January. I'm so proud of myself. And it was such a good one. It was such a good one. So since we're doing like a monthly recap situation this video, I'm gonna kind of structure my whips a little bit differently on how I show them. And normally I go in by order of how I worked them, but today we're just gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go over my 2 Pick-a-Whip projects from January. So if you're new here or not familiar with what Pick-a-Whip is, it is a little whip game that I play where I have prompts in this jar. And then every 1st and 15th of the month, I pick a new prompt and I post on my Instagram and on the YouTube community page the prompt that was chosen. This has worked incredibly this month, and I think that's how I'm going to continue to work Pick-a-Whip. Usually I would draw a prompt during my videos. However, I have a very busy schedule, so sometimes I couldn't film as regularly as I wanted, hence, you know, it's been a month since my last video. But I wanted a way to standardize Pick-a-Whip so that more people could participate and it would be a little bit more structured, and so you knew which day the new prompt was going to get picked. So that being said, I practiced that for 2 pulls in January, and then the first pull of February. Today is the 2nd, so yesterday I posted the February 1st Pick-A-Whip. And so the February 1st Pick-A-Whip is actually a project with flowers, so how perfect is that for February? Anyway, so January 1st, the prompt was pick a project or pick a whip that intimidates you. So I worked on Rose Quaker. This is by Weinberg. I was able to do about 600 stitches on this. This project is intimidating to me because a couple things. I had a tiny start on it. It was so sad. I had like half of a motif done, and I had been working on this project for months. Well, it was on my whip list for months. I only worked on it one day. So I had a really tiny start. This is a huge project, and I'm doing my own color conversion, just flosses from stash. So I'd mapped out where kind of I was going to put things, but didn't have like a set plan. So that's very intimidating because I didn't know where all the colors were going, and that's intimidating for the fact that like you don't know how it's going to look in the end. Like you're kind of just playing it as you go, and I like a good plan. I don't like the unknown. So anyway, this was an intimidating project. However, now that I have worked on it, I'm obsessed. This is stitched on 36 count Crips cloth, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I had like half, well, probably like this much done. So I finished out this motif, started these other two, and just kind of worked my way over. I had so much fun with this. And now it's not intimidating because now I'm just kind of like winging it, and it's fun. You know, I don't do that a lot with any of my projects. There's another one that we'll talk about next, actually, where I'm kind of playing it and like putting colors as I go. And so it's just a different stitching experience, but I absolutely love this project, and I can say I'm not intimidated by it anymore. It's still huge. It's still a giant project, but I have plenty of those. And these are the colors that I've chosen from stash. We have some reds, some pinks, greens, and browns. So I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants and just kind of doing whatever and kind of just letting the project take its own course. What am I even talking about? So the next whip I have to show y'all is No Time Like the Present. This is by Modern Folk Embroidery. The prompt for this was favorite color, so it could be floss, fabric, whatever. And my favorite color is pink. I'm just a pink girly, so I thought what better project to stitch than this. It is on a pinky orange fabric, and I chose 2 colors of DMC, pink and orange, to fulfill this project. However, this project took a big turn because my colors were not, there wasn't enough contrast in between the 2 colors I picked. I don't know if you can see, we have the pink and the orange, which on the skein is fine. You could definitely tell the difference. However, I'm doing this 1 strand over 1 on 20 count Aida. So you could not see the pink next to the orange. Like, it was just blending in, and I knew that the more I did, it was just gonna look like a blob, and you couldn't really tell. So I completely switched up the game plan for this. I still don't have a game plan for this. I talked to one of my besties, Cameron, over at Cam the Stitcher, and she's like a genius with color, and she was just the obvious choice to like ask advice. So she went a whole direction with like a sunset vibe. I'll put the picture here that she sent. But just like gorgeous colors. And so we kind of came up with a game plan of doing like a sunset vibe. And so I was like, well, maybe a 3rd color would be good. But now I think we're up to like 5 colors. Where will I put them? No idea. So I'm kind of just going off, I don't know, instinct is not the word. I'm just like flying by the seat of my pants. Like I'm just kind of figuring out as I go. I did a mock-up of this pattern in just 2 shades of gray to kind of get an overall view of what the components of this pattern are, because it's huge. Like she's a giant, big old girl. So I don't have a strict game plan when it comes to some of the other colors, but I will definitely keep y'all updated on that, because I only added in one extra color from what y'all have seen, and I added 718, which is just like a rich purple. This is done on 20 Count Persimmon by Fiber on a Whim. So as you can see, I have the orange little medallions and then a pink border, but that pink right next to that orange you can't tell. So I was stitching this building top with the pink and you couldn't see it. So this adds a beautiful contrast. I think I'm going to do like the two towers and some of the infrastructure in this purple color. And then we're going to plug in like a lime, like a neon green. And then I think like a periwinkle-ish type blue color. So I don't have those DMCs yet. I have to go get them. But once I have a color palette, I will obviously share that with y'all. But for this pick whip, I did a 400 and something stitches on it. So I was able to get a good little chunk done. Which for pick whip, I don't set like a goal for those projects. I just work on them. And, you know, just kind of go off the vibe and kind of like take into consideration the other goals I have for the month. And, you know, I fit the pickle whips into my stitching instead of, you know, working my other stitching around pickle whip. Like, it's supposed to be just a fun way to stitch on projects that I might not pick up. That's obviously like what happened with Rose Quaker. I don't know when I would have picked that up, to be honest. No telling. But now that I did and I worked on it, like, I loved it. I think I did the 600 stitches in like one day, maybe two. But it was really enjoyable, and it just made me fall in love with a project that I almost UFO'd. I almost got rid of Rose Quaker, but I decided to give it one more chance, and now I love it. So that's the fun of Pickle Whip, is you can make it work for you. There's not, you know, any set rules. I mean, and the prompts are usually pretty vague, and they can usually work for anything, and you can twist it like twist it to make it work for you. Like, I don't want it to be restricting, because I know that for me, restrictive stitching never works. I'll move on from Pickle Whip and show y'all something else. The next project I'll show you guys is Every Season by Tiny Modernist. We had a couple snow days in January, which was really fun and really exciting. I love the snow so much. So I decided to pull this out. And as you can see by the hoop mark that's not ironed out, I mainly worked over here. And I completed this snowflake square. And then I also moved down here. This is the winter block. So on our 2 snow days, I was able to finish out this block and then start working down in the winter section. These areas are full coverage, similar to these. So it's a lot more stitching than you would think on first glance, but I really enjoy it. This is kind of just like a slow and steady project for me. I always keep it in my whip basket that like I'm working on, and so I can just pick it up and put a few stitches in here and there. It's really pretty, and these colors I cannot get over. Like, look at this floss ring. It's kind of a mess, but just the brightest colors. It's gonna look so good. I do have this as a paper chart, so it is a little bit slower to stitch for me than some of my digital patterns, but that's okay. Sometimes my tablet dies and I have to charge it, so then I need a paper pattern to work on in the meantime. Next, I will go over my 2 Whip Go pulls for January. Sadly, unfortunately, I think January is going to be the only month I'm going to do Whip Go this year. I tried to make it work for me, but I have some other plans in the works, which I will share with y'all. Whip Go and monthly goals just don't really work with my schedule, and I don't like making a goal I can't reach. And even if I set like small goals, I feel like I'm just not getting much done, and I'm stressing, and So I don't think Whip Go works for me. Again, I've tried it for 2 years now, and I might revisit in the future, but I think for the time being, with, you know, my goals and the structure of my stitching this year, I don't know if I have space for Whip Go. That being said, Whip Go for January was very successful. I will give it that. And my Whip Go board setup this year was based on category rather than like specific projects. So I created 12 priority categories for my stitching and had a project in each of those. So I just put those categories on my Whip Go board. And the first one was, I believe, 6 for 26, which would be my 6 starts for my 26th birthday a couple years ago. Well, last year. I'm only 27. I just turned 27. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, so this project was Good Intentions by Kathy Barrick, and my goal was to finish the text in the top border of this, and I did that. So, and this fabric, I believe, is River Willow. I'm not sure what count, but I did get the top part finished. In this little border. I love this so much. I want to finish this year. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I want to finish it. And my next Whip Go pull was to stitch on my priority sampler, which I had set for Floral Alphabet Sampler, and I was able to stitch over 3,000 stitches on this month. It was kind of my priority project for the month. Like, I worked on this the most out of anything, and she's gorgeous. I will show you what it looked like before January, and then I'll show you what it looks like now. This is stitched on 32 count Blue Ridge by Atomic Ranch. Are y'all ready? Oh, she's so beautiful. So, as you can see, I worked, you know, down and across and got to that center motif with the birds in the basket. And then I did start kind of just working down so I could get some footing in that alphabet and work there if I needed to. These colors are just so vibrant, and it's just, holding it back, you really see the detail, because, you know, like when you're up close and stitching, you don't necessarily get to see all the, like, how the colors come across. It is just beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this year, but I definitely would like to pull it out and work on it more later. I will say having a priority project is good, because I did get, you know, over 3,000 stitches done on this. But I was ready for February. I was ready to work on something else. As much as this was so enjoyable, for me personally, I do love to bounce around. So I'm hoping that my new stitchy, like, setup will work, but I'll go over that more in plans. I'm getting ahead of myself like I usually do. I could just look at this all day. It is beautiful. And this is by not Tell 'em Emblem. This is by Tinsel Cross Stitch. Tell 'em Emblem is the scissor sampler, which also has a bird in it. But next up is Sarah Moon. I stitched this on the full moon, which I believe was the 25th of this month. I am working on this with Cameron, Bridget, and Megan. This is our full moon stitch. This is Sarah Moon 1791. I'm stitching this on Truffle. Is it? I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. Why can I never remember this? But it's this beautiful, like, pink. I'm hoping it'll show up for y'all. It's this gorgeous pink fabric. And I'm doing Cam's goth conversion for Sarah Moon. We say goth. I'm pretty sure just every Cam conversion is goth. But this is whimsy goth with, like, the greens and the purples and the navies and, you know, and the blues. Absolutely beautiful, and I love working on this every month with my girlies. And the last whip I have to show y'all is Strawberry Cow. This is by the Tiny Modernist. I kitted this up last year in Denver. We were there in January for my wife's birthday, so This had its WIP birthday on the 31st, which is silly because it's a small, but it's been on my WIP list for a year. Anyway, hopefully we'll remedy that because it is my February 1st Pick-a-Whip, which was flowers as the prompt. So this project has at least one flower in it, so we're gonna count it. This is on 14 count, like a lavender Ada. And I've worked on this for a couple of days. I had the black border and that was it. So I've just been going through and filling it in. I am also changing the colors in the cow. Instead of, you know, the traditional white, gray, and black, we're gonna do pink and pink and pink and make it an actual strawberry cow. So I am loving this. It's so cute. And like, I don't have very many 14 count projects anymore. So this is fun. I've been able to just stitch it in hand. And it goes pretty quickly. So I'm hoping to finish this in February. Please. Hopefully everything goes as planned. So there is Strawberry Cow. I'm quickly going to go over my gratitude section of this video before I jump into plans. It's kind of relevant to my January stitching because what I'm grateful for, my gratitude, this video is for my fingers and my toes. We'll throw that in there. Mid-January, I was cooking and had an accident in the kitchen and injured myself pretty badly. I had to go to the emergency room, and this little thumb, I'm not gonna like show you all the gross details, but this little thumb was out of commission for a while, at least a couple weeks. I was unable to use it at all. So it just really made me think how much we take things like that for granted, just like our fingers and our toes, because you don't realize how much you need it until you don't have it, you know? So I didn't stitch for about a week, and you know, I didn't crochet. Like, I pretty much wasn't able to do anything. Like, I had to learn how to use this hand without my thumb, and that caused a lot of hand cramping because I was trying to like hold things like with my fingers, which is not how they're meant to be used. So I had like hand cramping, I had like elbow pain and muscle spasms in my forearm. Like, it really just threw off everything not having my thumb. So luckily I have healed up really, really well, and I'm back to stitching. So that's just a silly little gratitude section because geez, you really need your thumbs. Like, really. They have a purpose, believe it or not. So anyway, I'll move on to my plans, which I call my hopes and dreams section, because plans seem so final, and with this craft I want to have fun with it and not stress. So that's why I call it my hopes and my dreams, because these are things I hope and I dream about, and if I get to them, great. If I don't, no biggie, they're not going anywhere. So I did kind of touch on me kind of moving away from WIP Go for the remainder of the year. Like I said, I had it set for categories, which I thought was going to work for me, but you know, throughout the year, like, things come up and you want to stitch certain things or do certain stitch alongs or do little challenges, and WIP Go just like wasn't really working with that. And as I've said a lot, I hate repeating it, but like, I am busy. I work 7 days a week, so my stitching time is limited to the hours of about 4:30 to 8, and that's when my wife is working. When she's not working, you know, I spend the evenings with her, and that's like 2 days a week. So we're looking at 3 days that I have just like free time all to myself. And so having 10 projects to work on every month isn't usually something that I can do. So I usually work on about 5 projects a month. That seems to be a good balance for me. It's, you know, enough variety to where I don't get bored, but it's also not too many where I'm not getting progress on things. I like to see a good chunk of progress when I work on projects. So I've kind of come up with like a to be stitched anatomy list, so kind of like guidelines on what those 5 projects are going to be. And so 2 of those slots are going to go for Pick-a-Whip. like I said, I pick 2 prompts on the 1st and the 15th of every single month. So that gives me about 2 weeks to work on that project, and that being my whip list for those couple weeks. I am creating a new category. Obviously WhipGo took over 2 of those slots, and now that those are gone, I had to figure out how I was going to fill that in. One of those slots is going to be for what I'm coining my 10 to 10 by 10. So I would like to get 10 of my projects to 10% completion by the 10th month, which is October. So that gives me until October to get at least 10 of my projects up to 10%. I think I have about 15 that aren't to 10%. One of those being a full coverage. So I don't know if that's going to get done. I think I'm about 10,000 stitches away from that being 10%. So I wanted to give myself leeway with that also. So that's how I came up with 10 to 10 by 10. So I just have to get 10 of my projects. I think I can do that. Some of them are a couple hundred stitches away. Some are maybe 1,000 or 2. But I thought that'd be fun. And so that slot is going to be filled until that goal is reached. So I'm going to pick one of my projects and I'm going to work on it until I get to 10%. And then once I reach that goal, then I can swap it out with whatever I'm feeling at the time. Similarly, my 3rd spot is going to go to a project with a goal attached. So I went into my Notion, and every project has a goal. This isn't a yearly goal. This is a goal that, you know, I feel like is realistic for 1 to 2 months. And so I will slot a project into that spot, work on it until I've reached that goal, and then swap it out. So I'm not structuring my stitching to be monthly at this point. I needed a schedule that was going to work for me, and, you know, some months you might cut your thumb off and you might not have a week to stitch, or you might be busy, there might be work there, you know, who knows what life is going to throw at you. And I just didn't want to get discouraged if I didn't reach these like monthly goals. And so now I'm not structuring my stitching by working on this project in this month with this goal. I'm doing it this project and this goal. Whenever you finish it is when you finish it, and then you can move on. So I set my goals, you know, dependent on the project. With all of my like digital charts, I either did like a number of stitches or a percentage I wanted to reach. Some of them are finished. So once I get that project, I'm going to work on it until it's finished, and then I can swap it out for something else. So I think it'll be good to motivate myself to do that. It'll motivate me to maybe get it finished so I can pick something else. Or I can take my time with it. So like it really is just going to be a very low pressure, chill kind of schedule. And who knows, maybe I can reach 2 or 3 or 4 of these project goals within a month. Like it just depends. So that'll be slot 4. And then slot 5 is kind of just going to be like a wild card, like if there's anything going on that I want to work on. And not to say that I won't work on more than 5 projects within any given time. I kind of just wanted to do like a main 5, and that way I have a little bit of focus, and I won't get decision fatigued, you know. I'll have some guidance onto what to work on, but that's not restricting whatsoever. So I'll always have Sarah Moon on the 25th-ish, like whenever the full moon is, which is normally towards the end of the month. And I think that's really my only like monthly thing that I work on. So that being said, that's how I plan to structure my stitching from now on. Not that I had to go into that much detail or that you wanted to hear it, but I just wanted to let y'all know what's going on and kind of why I'm ditching WhipGo, but also like 10 to 10 by 10. If y'all want to join in, please join in. I think I'm going to create a hashtag for it. Because I think it's really motivating to have a decent chunk of progress on like all of your projects. And that's my main goal for this year, is to just work on what I already have and get some finishes. Y'all, I need a finish. I need a finish. I have my haunted library framed and hung up on my wall, and it's just sitting there all by itself. Like, I need more. So, that's kind of going to be my motivating factor, is just to have like pretty stuff hung up on my wall. And the last little section of my hopes and dreams is this pink February stitching challenge that was created by Bridget the Museum Stitcher. And then Cameron, Sweet Baby Angel, made us this beautiful graphic. I'll put it here. If you're on Instagram, maybe you've seen it, because so many people have been using this template and it is so cute and I just love seeing it. Obviously February is my month. We love pink, we love hearts, we love all of that. So I'm pumped for February, and this pink February stitching, I'm in. So I have 4 projects that I want to work on for that challenge. So I have Love Bugs, 2 Birds, 1 Tree, that's by Tiny Modernist, Wings of the Dove, which is also Tiny Modernist, and then my Fruits of Plenty. I'm not setting stitch goals for that. Those are just projects that I'd like to work on in the month of February. Anything with pink. If you have a project with pink floss, even if it's just one color of pink, you know, you can work on that. Or if it's pink fabric, or, you know, just whatever. It's pink. Just work on some pink stuff. So I think that's going to conclude the stitchy portion of this video. Thank you so much for being here this long, and I'll get into books and crochet after this. So if you're not interested in that, again, thank you so much for watching to this point, and I'll catch you in the next episode. So I'll quickly go over some of the 4- and 5-star books that I've read recently. January has been a good month for reading, I will say. The first one is going to be Chain Gang All-Stars. This was the first book I read of 2024 and started the year off really great. This isn't an easy book to read by any means, but it was beautifully written and so unique, and it was just incredible. It won't be for everyone, I know that, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed what it was saying. I enjoyed the commentary. But again, it was just written incredibly. Like, I've never read anything like it before. It's essentially a dystopian, fictionalized commentary on the prison system in America, and it was impactful. It was heartbreaking. In this book, in this world, they have monetized and televised a sport in which prisoners battle to the death for their freedom. They have groups called chain gangs who, in between battles, they walk across the country to their next battle site. And there's teams and regions, and I mean, it's like any televised sport, and they're like, you pick your, you know, the person that you like the most and want to win, and like, you have to murder a bunch of people before you can get your freedom. So it follows a couple of the people who are participating in the sport. It kind of goes over some other perspective, like it changes perspectives a lot, but just incredibly written. It's just so hard to explain it. It was impactful and beautiful and heartbreaking and educational. There are footnotes that go over the real life facts that some of these statements in the book are based off of, and it's just an incredible read if you can handle subject matter such as that. Some of the scenes are gruesome and not great, but I really liked that book, and that's a book that I think about a lot, and I probably will for a while. Next up is another book in the similar vein of the fact that I think about this a lot, and I probably will for a while. The book is How the Word Is Passed. This is a nonfiction book about the history of slavery in America, and it's written around different monuments and different sites in America. And the author is a poet, and you can really tell that in his descriptions of his surroundings and situations where he was going to these sites and interacting with people, and the way he describes how the sun hits the grass and the, you know, like, it was beautifully written. Again, it was gorgeous and thought-provoking, and I highly recommend. The audiobook was really great. That's how I consumed it. So that was another 5-star book. And last but not least, I listened to The Atlas 6. This is a fantasy novel that's got some magic. It's got kind of like dark academia-ish vibes, about 6 magicians, which that's not what they're called, but 6 magicians essentially, who are kind of cast into this system, competition. There's 6 of them, but only 5 can go through, and it's just following them through that. There were some reveals. I think this is a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. So I will be continuing on with this. I gave this a 4 stars. Not the best thing I've ever read, but it was really good and it kept my interest. And the audiobook has different narrators for each of the characters. So I thought that was really fun and really interesting. So I recommend that one. I think it was fun. There's some like really cool magic in it, and like the magic system in this society and everything is like really, really cool. Last but not least, folks, let's go over some crochet. I don't have much because, again, I injured my thumb and couldn't crochet. It took me a little bit longer to get back into crochet than cross stitch. I kind of figured out a way that I could cross stitch without putting too much pressure on my thumb, but crochet just, it wasn't gonna work. I am doing a temperature blanket this year. Let me show y'all my messy basket of yarn. So if you're not familiar with temperature blankets, essentially you do a temperature range, and each range is a different color, and so whatever temperature it was that day. Some people do the highs, some people do the lows. I'm doing the average temperature. I just thought that would give a little bit more concise and like with a shorter range, because I live in Northwest Arkansas, and when I tell you, like, it gets into the negatives in the winter and then over 100 in the summer, like, we get the full range. So I needed a pretty big range, but as small as I could get it. So I thought the average temperature would help kind of consolidate some of the ranges. But this is my color palette. I had some inspo pictures. I just wanted like something bright and bold and beautiful, without going like blue for cold, red for hot. I love those blankets, but I wanted something that wouldn't necessarily look like a temperature blanket. And let me tell you, this first square is absolutely crazy. Like I said, we had snow, we had cold temperatures, we had ice storm. Like, it was cold for a lot of the month, as you'll see. I'm not all the way caught up on this, but I'll go ahead and show you where I'm at so far. I do need to block it. It's kind of wonky. But yeah, all this yellow is any average temperature less than, I think, 20. And we were like, we had an average temperature of 0 one day. So, you know, so that's all that yellow. But now we're warming up. It's been like 50s and I'm like, come on now. So I think I have at least a couple more days left to do, and we'll be getting to a new color. So it's a lot of the, you know, blue, and like it's really dark green, and then we get this purple color, and then it was just a bunch of yellow, and then now we're back to the green and the purple. It's so like, I don't know, I really like it, but this is one of those projects where I'm so apprehensive about it because I don't know what it's gonna look like in the end, and like, what if I don't like it? But I think this is so interesting. Oh, and sorry, I didn't really explain it. So a lot of temperature blankets are just rows. I'm doing mine in linen stitch. This is a linen stitch square, so each round is going to be a different day. That's what we have so far. It's really beautiful. This is an acrylic and superwash wool blend. And it's really soft, but like heavy, like it's good. Like it's a good quality yarn. And it'll make a really great blanket. Alrighty, everybody. I think that is going to conclude this video today. I hope you have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever and whenever you're watching. I'll catch you next time. In the meantime, do something that brings you joy and fills your cup. Don't forget, you can't pour from an empty cup. So fill your cup up this week, and yeah, have a good one. Okay, bye.